You're watching The Mic Check, on every Monday afternoon at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to The Mic Check. Tonight, this is Chiefs Kingdom. Okay, this is, of course, a sports commercial, as you can see by the Kansas City Chiefs thing there. Here's the thing. We got a big set of directions on this one. And it's one of those where they throw a whole lot of information at you all at once. And this is how you should be sounding, looking. And it's one of those quite zone one style intimate reads, in spite of the fact that it's for, one of those big time sports things. So everybody get ready for your zone one read, because it says on here, we'd like this to be read softly, not in a quiet whisper, but as though the narrator is talking to someone sitting very close to them. With that being said, it shouldn't be lacking in intensity or energy. So that's how this is going to go. You have to have some energy, but at the same time, be soft-spoken. Think Matthew McConaughey.
Right, all right.
I think Joe volunteered to go first.
Yeah, he's big thumbs up there. Joe wants to go first.
Sure.
Okay. Take it away, Joe.
Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see. Mike?
Me? Sorry, I'm kind of new here. I'm not sure how this goes.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
just
we call the next
fire
person.
one by one.
Yeah, you just
sorry.
call the
Let me give you a quick overview then.
Yeah. Sorry
So
about that.
we have no worries. We have so we have somebody volunteer to go first, and they will select who goes after them. So it could be anybody in the list. So you just give it a cold read for now. We're going to go into discussing the script a little bit more in a little bit. This is sort of for you to familiarize your script and have some ideas about what you want to do with it and what you want to discuss with it. So go ahead and read the script dry, however you want to. Take your interpretation however you'd like. And as soon as you're done, just call somebody else.
All right. Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see. Go, Richard.
Did he pull a Richard?
Yeah.
Well, I'm keeping track of names, so I don't.
Oh, okay.
Write
yours now.
All right.
Yeah, your name goes here.
Who am I again? Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see. JD?
All right. Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see. Dan.
Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see. Frank.
Hi, everybody. How are you this evening? Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. But they don't see what we see. I have no idea who has or hasn't gone yet, so who's available here? Devin.
Cowtown. Flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see. John.
Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see. Russ.
Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. A curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see. David, have you gone?
Not yet. Cowtown, flyover country. Some say in the middle of nowhere, but for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see. Mr. Montez.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Rosa. Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see. Nathan.
Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see. John Stefford.
Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere, but for us, this is home.
It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see. Leonard.
Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here, this curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see. Rob.
Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere, but for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coasts to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see. I'm not sure. Let's see. Just have to close this out.
Say Tim and you'll be safe.
Tim. Thank you.
Yeah, I believe the only two who haven't gone are Tim and Shane.
And could someone post the copy for me? For some reason or other.
In that case, we'll go ahead and go with Tim for right now.
Okay.
Go ahead, Tim.
You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're pretty quiet, though. You might want to turn your gain up.
Okay, how about now? Is that better? Better?
A little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, like this? Okay, thank you. All right. Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special. Why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see. And it would be Shane next.
Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
All right. I believe that's everybody, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, then. So I guess we move into the discussion portion now.
Yes.
What am I saying? I guess we move into the discussion portion now.
Yes.
All righty then. Let's discuss. So
Sure,
Nathan,
you forgot how to run the group? Let's
I'm sorry. It's been a weird week for me, okay? I'm just glad to be here. So let's go ahead and talk about it now. What were some of the things that people noticed about the reads themselves? Like what was something that stuck out to you about the script?
Well, one thing I noticed in direction was it called for a blend of intimacy and energy and intensity.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think the energy came through from everybody.
Okay,
I don't know how
so
you
you
blend the zone one read, intimate as if you're sitting real close to somebody with energy too,
Well, this is actually going to bring us to a very interesting area, a very interesting place when it comes to performance. Because I was thinking about this, and we've talked about something like this before, but this script here is actually really typifying it, and I'm really thankful that you brought this today, actually, Nathan. But did you have any notes that you wanted to talk about specifically when it came to the script?
Well, I have been looking at the bottom half of the direction because I left it a little bit vague when I read off the direction. But if everyone looked at the direction on here, at the back end of it, the client said, we want it to be read as though the ideas being expressed are very personal and important to the narrator. So, I mean, literally what I will title this mic check is making it personal, because that's what they're expecting you to do, is to make it personal.
Okay.
So then, no, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I mean, there's with so much direction that they have here. I mean, they've given us what softly, as though the narrator is talking to someone, which is basically the same thing. Okay, so we're gonna just use that as one direction. Shouldn't be lacking in intensity or energy. It doesn't ask for intensity or energy. It just says shouldn't be lacking. Where, I mean, that's what it sounded like he was asking, the person who commented.
The direction is asking.
Yeah. It's not asking you to be intense. It's just saying, don't be the deadpan. You know, this is something that, again, that final part is personal and important to the narrator. And if it is personal and important to the narrator, it's going to have intensity. It may not be like out there crazy, but it's there because it is personal to you. You're going to be intense. It's going to be earnest. It's going to have some energy.
Say it like you mean it.
So then, yeah, then maybe we can come up with a different word that we could use to describe what it's asking for. What if it's asking not to lack in intensity and energy, but this is supposed to be quiet? How would you describe the actual intention, the actual feeling behind it?
I believe it should be with a sense of pride.
Okay.
A sense of pride. You're proud that you're living in,
Okay, a sense of pride.
Sense of
pride. Any others? Like any other ideas? I'm open to everything.
How about engaging?
Engaging. Okay.
I don't know. I think it starts out kind of defensive.
Yes.
Are you sure? Are you sure, though? Are you sure that this is going to be defensive at the beginning?
I'm going to say I'm with you, Joe.
It sounds like he's rattling off insults about where he lives.
Those are the insults. The rest of them are
so
here's on that.
If you,
I'm gonna.
I think at the beginning he's reflecting back some of the insults.
I actually auditioned for this spot before. Okay, this is a 2-year-old spot, but I actually auditioned for this one. And when I pre-lifed it, before it said Cowtown, so I wouldn't come off defensive, I kind of wrapped it up with a pre-life of, some call it Cowtown.
Yeah.
And just because it's how they refer to everybody here in Middle America. Cowtown, flyover country, middle of nowhere. I mean, I've even referred to us here in Middle America as living in the sticks, but it's a Florida thing. It's from where I'm from before.
So then, I actually agree with that interpretation a little bit more. That it's more of recognizing the sort of things that other people, outsiders, see about the place.
That's this is guy has heard all the jokes before.
But maybe she's not affected by it. Maybe she doesn't care.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. I think that this is somebody who's really, recognizing that other people sort of see it this way, but that's not how I see it. I've lived here for so long. I know that this place has a beauty to it that nobody else does. I don't think this is necessarily defensive so much as it is almost mocking, kind of making fun of it or recognizing what other people say about it.
Before we get too far along here, I see Phil has joined us. Phil has
he has
to read.
Well, howdy do.
Welcome, Phil. Before we get too far in, would you like to go ahead and give us a read?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Oh, you're a little bit hot right there.
Back off. You're hot, baby.
Okay.
Back off.
Boogaloo.
Woo.
Whoa. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Still too hot.
I'll touch. I have to go back to my microphone settings. I'll get it down to.
Whoa. Now we can hardly hear you. A little bit higher.
How about now?
There you go. That's perfect.
There you go. There you go.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Almost had a Janet situation there.
All right. Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere, but for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to, they don't see what we see.
All right. Good read. So we'll go ahead and throw him into the list.
Yes.
Now, what we were just talking about was kind of the impressions of what we got about this. Like, we went over the directions a little bit. It said, we'd like this to be read softly, not quite a whisper, but as though the narrator's talking to someone sitting very close to them. With that being said, it shouldn't be lacking in intensity or energy. This spot is fairly earnest. We want it to be read as though the ideas being expressed are very personal and important to the narrator. So with that in mind, we're sort of coming up with a good alternate word rather than not lacking energy for how we should approach this, because not lacking energy is kind of vague.
Should be like, we said pride.
Would indignant
Pride has been said, yeah.
Be a proper adjective?
Sorry, say again, Shane?
Indignant, maybe?
Indignant? I wouldn't say indignant. I think pride is a good, is a good one to say, because, you're proud of where you live, even though other people don't look at it. It's almost like you have this diamond in the rough, and everybody's just seeing the rough, but you see the diamond.
Yeah.
How about
sincere? Sorry, go ahead.
How about sincere?
Sincere is a really good one. I really like sincere.
Enthusiasm.
Sincere, personal, I think is another one.
Yeah.
Enthusiastic
Important.
is too open. I heard that one, but it's too open. It's too open for somebody going nuts. Enthusiasm. Somebody said it. I was like, it's a little too much.
I would say the core word would be passionate.
Passionate.
You're passionate about where you are, and of course the thing that makes where you are special.
Passionate's a really good one.
Yeah.
So pride, passion.
Here in the Knoxville area, we have a football team. Now, I'm not into sports, but there's a football team, the Tennessee Volunteers, and they are doggone passionate about that football team. I mean, it's the state religion around here.
I was going to say, this could be a high school coach.
Hey, Nathan, are you from Knoxville?
I live in that area.
I'm born and raised in Knoxville, so I'm very familiar with the Vols.
So you know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking.
Yeah,
that's the kind of passion they're talking about for this piece of copy. Then see.
Yeah, they go nuts, and it's almost a sickness, just like Alabama, and anywhere really.
I grew up in Alabama, so I'm there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you guys have a really good frame of reference for this. I was actually going to ask, what do you think this character, like, who do you think this character is? If you were going to like describe this person, so we sort of came up with the idea of they're really passionate, and they're really passionate about where they live, even though other people don't quite see the good in it.
Yeah.
How would you describe this character?
I see it being a lifelong resident of this area. He has never even thought about. In fact, he may not have even been outside the four corners of that town, and he has no desire to do that. He knows
unless he's following his football team.
I believe I'd buy that.
Knows everyone, is familiar with everyone, takes great pride in the and would never dream of moving anywhere else.
Yeah,
pillar of community.
He's got his giant orange flags that hang out of the back of his pickup truck during football season.
All right. Any others? Any other descriptions that maybe hit home to you personally?
I think maybe not that, but where it says, but for us, this is home, that's a turn.
Yeah, that's a turn.
So, yeah, a little bit different tone there.
I kind of want to agree with Joe, what he said earlier about defensive for the first three.
Yep.
You could treat those as a throwaway too,
Yeah.
Like defensive but throwaway, like
Cowtown.
I'm almost thinking you could be like in on the joke, kind of mocking.
There you go.
Because if you live there and you've heard this over and over again, you're gonna mock it.
Yep.
That might be why you're throwing it away then. That might be your way of mocking it.
Yeah.
And this is what the clueless outsiders say. So it's a bit derogatory, but they're stupid for being a bit derogatory.
Derogatory, that's the word.
Yeah, I think it's just making fun of, if you really want to put like a full description on it, it's making fun of an outsider's ignorance.
Yeah.
That's all they see, but they don't see what you do.
Right.
So you're almost making fun of the the place you live in.
Right.
You know, it's a little bit mocking.
So it's sort of like a Texan going to visit upstate New York, and they're like, "Where's your gun? Where's your horse?" kind of thing.
Basically, if that's the way that you want to see it, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's like when people come down to my hometown, the only thing that's there, or the only thing that's here really is just a mall. Like that's the only reason why my town is still around, basically. So like this place is a bubble. So yeah, everybody calls it, you know, the bubble, and we just make fun of it here. So I don't know. I have a personal frame of reference to this. I see this as like making fun of what other people say about it. So you live in this place and, you know, you've heard it all before. People come in and out and they're like, man, yeah, that town. Yeah. The only thing that I remember was the welcome sign and the exit sign.
So a lead-in line might be
In and out.
some out-of-town idiots call this.
Yeah, there you go. That might be a good lead in. It's all up to you. Again, we're trying to focus more on the character around, you know, this time. So then, you know, who are you? Who are you going to be? If you have a clear idea of that, go ahead and note that down on your script. Make sure that you know who you are, because when you put down a character to play here, that should typify not only your frame of reference, but also how you color the words. So if you are a longtime resident of this little hometown, that should give you an idea of, you know, yeah, people are going to say this crap about my town, but they don't know what I know about it. I've lived here for so long that I don't want to live anywhere else. It's too beautiful. You know, that should give you a really good frame of reference as to how to approach everything and how you're going to see the story itself as well. Because like with every script, this is really telling a special kind of story. And I think more so than any others, because a lot of this is told indirectly. So like Joe brought up, but for us, this is home. That is definitely a turn. And that should really turn towards the more personal, the more passionate. So before then, you're sort of mocking what other people say about it. After that point, this is your personal experience of this place. So I think that's going to be something important to note, is that you do have a major shift right there in the middle of the script. So does anybody have any other notes, any other questions, anything else they've noticed?
It's okay. So the turn is definitely to bring up pride, like absolute pride for us. This is home. You know, it's not like it's definitely not a throwaway. It's definitely a turn. But then it goes into explaining. You know, it's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special.
Also note we have a list: mountains, beaches, and coast.
Yes.
Well, I mean, that's a huge, those are huge things that people sort of identify with, you know.
Absolutely.
You know, like my town is near Mount St. Helens, or, you know, I'm off over, you know, I'm over off the West Coast, or it's always something or other. But this is, you know, like it says, Cowtown, middle of nowhere.
This is probably someone who has a deep connection to the community. Since they don't have the nature, they probably have the community.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it too.
Oh, yeah.
I guess
That's a good observation, Devin.
maybe what they were saying is when it says it's hard for outsiders to see, or why some of us choose to put it, are they sympathizing with those people that they were mocking in the first place?
It could be sympathize. It could also just be recognize. Like you're acknowledging it. You know, it's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special.
You almost pity them for not seeing what's special.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was
You
saying.
recognize that you have to live there a while to really see what's special about it.
Yeah.
So you could, I mean, again, depending on what character you want to take, you absolutely could sort of pity the pity the fool. You could sort of pity the outsiders who don't quite see what you see. So if you want to take it that way, you're more than welcome to. I think that'd be an interesting. I don't really hear it that way, but I'd love to. Like I'd love to hear somebody perform it that way. But I think we got a good idea of who the person is and how they're going to approach the story. Does anybody have anything else? Any other questions or comments or anything on the script, on the character, or on the approach?
The list was brought up. Should it be said quickly or slowly, or just what do you think?
He's making a point with it. So this curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. He's making a point with that. It's not something that you would throw away with a little bit of a speed, I don't think.
I see a little bit of a turn back to the derogatory, like when you say, oh, this place has no mountains, beach, or coast. That's, again, the outsider saying, well, this is the problem with the place.
Yeah.
I would agree with that, but you wouldn't want to put too much emphasis on it.
No.
On a
yeah.
turn again there at that point. Because you'll
not the overemphasis of you don't have a giant mouse to draw tutors in.
Yeah, the way that I see it,
huh? I agree with that, because then you'll feel it's important. Like he's telling you, mountains, beaches, a coast to swear. Like it's no big deal. Like we don't need that.
Yeah, and on the other side of that is, okay, mountains, beaches, or coasts to swear allegiance to, which is in reference to their football teams.
Right.
Oh, good point.
The teams in the AFC West are the Raiders on the coast, the Denver Broncos in the mountains.
Oh, that's good.
The Chargers.
Yeah, that could actually even be another sort of throwaway list. I don't think you need to do anything super special with it, because I think if you do too much special with it, it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb, or why some of us choose to put down roots here, this curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coasts to swear allegiance to. Giving that a little bit of life kind of sounds odd, at least to me. I don't know what you guys
I heard
think,
a tiny bit of Shatner in there when you said it. So
yeah, I think that's actually a decent throwaway line personally. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coasts to swear allegiance to. Like you're naming off the big main things that people often recognize about certain regions.
Just what's not here, yeah.
Although I will say that on these reads, I'd like to hear some color on the word curious. So how you do it is up to you.
Yeah, that does make, because it's making it sort of a like a fantasy, sort of a place. You know what? We don't have that. We don't need it, but we got something better. It makes it sound like a Wonderland type of situation without all these little amenities. What real estate, you're next to a beach, big money. Next to a coast, big money. Mountains, big money. It's just a little bit of a special place that you might want to live.
It's curious that it's so great, even though there's nothing there.
Right. And you know what makes the place special probably is the people.
Undoubtedly.
Yeah.
It's home. It's where you've been. It's where any of us have been, grew up or whatever. It's home.
I went to school in Iowa, a small little town called Iowa Falls. This reminds me of my landlord. He had a little farm, maybe 500 acres, but he says it's not 3,000, 5,000. It's only 500, but it's mine and it's paid for. He always told me that. You know what? I don't need to buy more land. This is mine. It's paid for. No mortgage. So
that is the attitude right there. That tone you just took with it's mine and it's paid for.
Right. And he was such a great guy. He reminded me of Uncle Joe from Petticoat Junction. That was him. Uncle Joe, he's moving kind of slow. That was him.
Well, when you read the list, you got to do some kind of setup for the last line. That last line's kind of powerful, and it needs something that feeds into it that makes it stand out, it seems.
I think it might be able to do that with a pause.
Yeah, like a micro pause.
Yeah, they don't see what we see.
Through it, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I agree that there should that should be, the
what's the key word in there? The key word, the see or don't.
No, it's split. It's they don't see, and then what we see. It's two separate points.
Yeah, we would be more of the operative word in there.
Right.
Don't see what we see.
We, our community. Yeah.
They don't see what we see. No, the they was too hard.
Yeah.
You don't need to hit the they, but do hit the we.
I was just checking to see if the double pronoun would work, but it doesn't.
Nope. Alrighty then. Well, I think if we don't have, do we have any other points, any suggestions, anything else? All right, let's go back into the reads. Joe, you're up.
Okay.
Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
Guess I'm up.
Okay. Opening it up.
No.
What did
This
think?
is a directed series. This is the
I'm
directed
sorry.
side.
Yeah, so now we open it up for anybody to go ahead and give feedback to the reader with some things you noticed, some things that maybe stood out that didn't quite work as well as you thought, some decisions that maybe you want to talk about, whether or not they really hit the directions that we discussed. So now is open chat to do all of that. We'll let him read a couple of times before we move on. So opening it up, what did everybody think of that read?
It started wrong to me. I
didn't like the way it started either. I thought it was
sleepy,
thrown away. Just like, yeah, it didn't engage me.
The middle part did, I think.
The middle part did good.
Mm-hmm.
The two
pause.
longer sentences.
They don't see.
It,
Yeah,
it was just flat. It's kind of, it was
In the beginning.
okay.
Yeah, the first three lines were sleepy when they should have been a little derogatory. That's my take.
That was my
Were
only
you trying to
problem.
stay in zone one maybe too much? It seemed like you were focusing on trying to stay in zone one maybe.
Yeah, that's probably part of it. I think I was also thinking more throwaway, but it needs. I think I like the derogatory take better.
You threw it too far.
Yeah, I threw it too far. It's gone.
You got to catch them at the beginning too. So that's happened. Fly landed on my camera.
Cowtown.
But you want to catch their attention, but when you started out, it was just like he said, sleepy. It was Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. Yeah, you didn't do the accent, but.
What if you had a slight smile, almost like, boy, these silly people, like, I can't believe how silly they are saying these things.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I could do derogatory like that. Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
Take two.
I think that's it. Joe, go for it.
Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
I really liked how you slowed that down towards the end of it, personally, because it gave it that sort of, like down home country feel.
That was a nice touch.
I thought that was marked improvement, although maybe I'm the only one that caught this, but you seem to maybe punch mountains, beaches. You may have hit that just a little too hard.
Too hard. Yeah.
It sounded a little angry. But it was no. Yeah, that's
Damn it!
A
I
little
want
angry.
mountains.
Yeah,
I want beaches.
maybe Joe's character is a little bit bitter that he doesn't have mountains to swear allegiance to.
It sounded a little angry when it started. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special.
Doggone it! I want East Tennessee.
It kind of sounded like Dr. McCoy pissed off at Captain Kirk. Jim, I'm only a doctor, Jim. Damn it, Kirk.
I like the read.
I did like the read all the way around, though, but that was
very engaging.
I like the whole thing, except I felt the very last line could have used just a smidgen more passion to it.
That pause you're missing. That's what it is.
Where would you put the pause, Russ?
After C.
Yeah, that's what
After C. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good spot.
Yeah, that's
I
a
like
useful
your list,
spot.
though. I like your list. I didn't feel
It's
any-
almost you have to read this like a ballad. I think like you're in love with this place.
Mm-hmm.
And you're
Absolutely.
why
Joe,
people-
I like the way you did the list because, again, these are two Kansas City Chiefs fans probably talking to each other. Look at who's in their division.
With no
Mountains and coast and beach.
Swear allegiance.
Yeah.
I like the list too.
Mountains, beaches.
Okay. Last time.
Go for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
I liked it.
Better?
Yep.
Cool.
That was good.
Definitely.
Excellent. Thanks, guys.
Very,
I
very
think
nice.
that was it, darling. Nice job.
Cool.
Now I'm up.
Yes. Now it's your turn.
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
Go for it.
Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
Okay, opening it up. What did everybody think?
I like it.
It sounded read to me. Didn't sound like it was somebody thinking, just answering a question. It sounded like somebody was reading a script.
It felt
a little robotic.
Swift.
It was missing the heart, the feel part of the pride of the place.
Yankees.
On the or why some of us choose to put down roots here, that I did that. I should have taken a breath after here, but I didn't. So I was trying to make it
Dan
through
rule.
the rest of that without breathing.
Uh-oh. Yeah. All right. Dan rule is active.
He
Okay.
needs to know. He needs
So
to.
here's the Dan rule. The Dan rule is when you're behind the microphone, when you're performing, you do not comment on your own performance.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We want you focused on your performance. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Again, we haven't explained this to you, so you're absolved for now. But just so you know, in the future, when you're behind the microphone, you are the performer. We want you focused solely on your performance. Leave the rest of that. Leave the directions to us.
Let us tear you a new one.
It did sound like you ran out of breath, like you didn't know exactly where to take a breath there. It sounded like at the beginning you sort of you didn't start off with the right kind of emotional intention, or if you did, it didn't really come through too clearly like we would like to hear. I would say that this would be a safe place to go ahead and pre-life it. Add a little something before it, something that'll help you trigger that kind of mental and emotional state you want to be in. Something like, people who come here call this place, or some say this place is, however you want to do it. I think that would be safe to do for now. Saying as how this is just practice, just go for it. When you hit that last half after this is home, I liked the way you said, but for us, this is home. That really did feel very sincere. But afterwards, it didn't seem like you had a clear vision of what you wanted to do for it. At least that's what I heard. I could be totally wrong. Because there were, you broke it up in odd places and places that sort of broke up the ideas a little bit more than I felt should have. Or why some of us choose to put down roots here. It was kind of a weird break that you put every once in a while. That's just what I noticed. My personal thing would be just go ahead and give it another go. Like, don't even worry about directions right now. Just give it another go.
All right. Some call it Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
I like that a lot better.
Yeah, I thought that was lots better.
Yeah, I like but for us, this is
Yeah.
home. I thought that was a much more solid one.
Yeah, I think the only direction I would give you this time would be slow it down. That would be it. Otherwise, the delivery was really, really solid.
There was an awkward pause after choose, I think.
Oh yeah, I caught that. Okay.
I don't know if it was a mistake or a choice, but it didn't sound right.
Well, whenever you're ready,
all right,
give it another go.
Some call it Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
Fantastic.
I like
it.
Fantastic.
Excellent.
That
Thank you.
was the best one. Bravissimo.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, the pace was really, really nice. It felt like you were from a small town, because something that something that I noticed about people from small towns is they usually speak a little bit slower, a little bit more carefully. It's like time slows down when you leave a big city. So, congrats. I have to step out of the booth for just a bit. I'll be right back.
That would mean Richard, you're next.
That would mean what? Some like to call this Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
Okay, my friend. It sounded like I'm going to read this script and make it interesting. And
What? You mean it
because
wasn't?
I'm on the mic. Listen to me read you this wonderful piece of copy.
I need to be
You were
me.
doing your folksy Richard thing.
Yeah.
Come on.
Come on, children, gather around and I'm going to tell you a story.
I was going to say that the accent was a little much. It was a little overcooked.
Once upon a time in a cow
But that was
town.
pretty much me.
That's his accent.
You got a little staccato too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Flyover country.
I did it as a list, didn't I?
At the end,
I did the first three as a list.
when it's they don't see what we see. You said they don't see, like 3 notes that were the exact same. I'm thinking maybe just go up a little bit on C. and
They
then
don't see what we see.
Yeah, so maybe it's kind of a hill there. They
Up
don't.
and down. You want to do like a arch?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
Okay.
the NBC read.
Well, let's see if I can be me this time.
And then you also said like nowhere, and I mean it was almost like
Nowhere.
Nowhere.
No,
Nowhere.
That's what I say. It's nowhere. We're out in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, we're drinking.
That's not an accent. That's the Idaho twang. Sorry.
Is that like Cool Whip?
Oh, Will Wheaton.
Oh. All right. Let's see if we can do it a little better this time. Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to, they don't see what we see.
I like that a lot better.
It felt a little bit fast to me.
Yeah. You said some say the middle of nowhere.
And curious. And curious.
Yeah. That again,
Honestly, I think that lent it a little bit of flavor, actually.
Yeah.
I live in the middle of nowhere, and that's how we say it is the middle of nowhere. And
I
I'm
mean, I think
miles out of
Sorry,
Boise.
hang on a second. Mike, what were you trying to say?
I was just going to say that gives realism. That's conversational. That's how people
Yeah,
talk. People
Yeah.
read the way they talk. So if
True.
you say, instead of saying middle of nowhere, if you just say middle of nowhere, that's how people talk. And I
Yeah.
think that gives it a much more realistic sound.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah,
with
I
it.
agree.
Curious one was kind of what threw me off.
It's like
Curious.
adding contractions to the thing. If they say we are and you say we're, we are is how people talk. We are is not. So if people want conversational, that's how to make it conversational.
Unless you're trying to be creepy.
Right.
Yeah. What was that, Dad?
Because let me
on
tell you,
what?
We're Legion doesn't sound very creepy.
I said what? I tried to be just natural, my area, because I live out in the boonies. But I said, I didn't say curious. What was it?
You said curious.
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 Okay. Okay.
That's very curious.
The only thing that really struck me about your read, Richard, I like your tone, or I like your pace, but your tone selection was a little bit odd. You went high up in your register for most of the read. Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere, but for us, this is home.
Okay.
You know, I think this needs to feel just a tad sleepier.
Okay.
Just a tad. It's supposed to be important to you, but I don't think you should lose that sort of, sleepy, quiet, close-knit town feel,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I got one thing. When you said special, it sounded more like a trippy fantasy, or I think it's more like proud kind of. Like special, Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that special translates to unique.
Yeah. Not like cool.
Come on, Richard, read our minds. Come on.
Stay off the sauce, man.
All right. Here we go. Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere, but for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
That was it.
Is that better?
I personally feel that was it. That
That
was
was nice.
the right tone. That was the right feel. You had the right pace to it. It really did feel like a flyover of this little hidden gem out in the middle of the country.
That was nice.
I like my little flyover place.
Oh, there you go. There you go. It
There you
sounded
go.
like, at least with this read, it sounded like you drew more on that. It felt more personal. It felt more important to you. So all in all, much, much better read.
Thanks, guys. JD,
Excellent.
wow me. Oh, did you have something, JD?
No, it was excellent. I like
Russ was saying.
I just want to know. It seemed like you were going into the trippy special, but you caught yourself. Is that what happened?
I knew it was coming up, and I just tried to do it a different way, so that it pleased you. Because Russ, I want to please you.
Oh, it worked. It worked well.
All right.
Well, this is turning interesting.
All hail Russ. Russ is good.
Russ.
Ross and I have done stuff together, so.
Okay.
All righty then. Now we move on. JD, you are up. Go for it, my
on.
friend.
Yeah. Okay. Russ is
I'm going away.
moving on. All right. Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see. No, I did that too. I went to.
Dan roll. Dan
actually
roll.
liked the to swear allegiance to is one thought on that read.
You also hit here really hard, which I thought was a good choice.
I stole that
it's sort
from
of
Nathan because I really liked it.
Good.
Well, that was a good thing to steal because I feel that added a lot more credence to what you were saying. So
I agree.
Good choice there.
The start of it. Something was wrong with the start of it. Yeah, JD, that was awesome. I like the way you read that long one, the long sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Start of it, something was off.
Okay, interesting. I
think the first one came across as a question. Cowtown? I think that's what caught my attention, maybe.
Okay.
I think you were high in your register. Maybe that's what you were doing with your hand there.
That's what I was going to complain about. Yeah, that's what I was going to.
I agree with
Self-directed, but yes, I was.
What you were going to complain about?
I was going to say, yeah. Well, now I got to say it. Now I get to because it's okay. It's
yeah. I thought the bottom 2/3 was good, but the first kind of 3 things, it was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, it started to me like Cowtown. Isn't that cute? As opposed to
what it was.
Cowtown. What's this place?
I should have prefaced it, and I think I will this time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was. Just a little too mocking, I think.
Okay. I'll do it again. Some people call this place a cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
Okay,
That's
opening
the
it up.
sound
What
I
everybody think?
Still sounds up in your register a bit, and you also sound kind of like you're out of breath on the lip.
To me, it almost sounded like you were going to tear up.
That's good. It's
That's where I was going.
I like that. Thank you.
That's what I was hearing, and I went, just was
too much.
tad awkward there. I mean, it wasn't. It might have been just a bit
too much syrup. Too much syrup.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think what you need to do is, instead of making this a zone 1 where you're really close and on the mic, I think you could back this up to a zone 2, like a quiet zone 2. And I think that might fit a little bit better for your delivery. I don't think you really need to change too much about your delivery, just the zone you're delivering it. I think with this one, you're a little too close to the microphone, so it sounds like the entire time you're going to start crying. And we want to avoid that. It's more of you're proud of where you live. And I think moving that back just a bit more, I think that's probably all you really need to do. So why don't you go ahead and give it to us as more of a zone 2, more conversational distance read. And let's see how that turns out. Go for it.
Football fans don't cry.
It depends upon if their team wins or loses.
That's right. And if you break a bone or not. Some people call this place a cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here, this curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
I thought it was much better, backing it off and giving it more of a conversational delivery. More of a less subduing the voice, more just allowing it to sort of breathe. Allowing yourself to sort of breathe and just speak it.
Yeah.
I don't know. What did everybody else think?
I like that last line. He put a little bit of a different twist on that last line. Instead of doing that pause, that dramatic, they don't see what we see. He said something like, they don't see what we see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He kind of put this, the emphasis on the first see. They don't see what we see instead of they don't see what we see. I kind of like that difference.
Seemed to work. Yep.
I think the only thing I would do is, if I were the editor, I'd splice in the "it's hard for outsiders" line from the last take, because I thought that was a little bit better on the last take than this take. But everything else was just read perfect. Yeah.
I like the whole thing, except that instead of you went this curious place, and I'd go more like this curious place. So more emphasis on the curious and less on the place.
Yeah, I noticed that. I hit place. This curious place with no. Yeah,
I actually kind of liked it. I like the way he did that.
Okay.
That's different.
Because he's talking about the place and and then he's going into the mountains, beaches, and coast. And yeah, it was actually, it sounded real to me. There's nothing missing in that except for, like he said, that it's hard for outsiders was good, but it was better on the last one.
But it was better on the last one. Okay, I agree.
All right. So basically, just do what you did, but better.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, all right. Let's one more time. Here we go.
Still my favorite direction.
Could you be taller? Some people call this place a cow town, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see. Did I hit the points?
I like that one the best.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Good.
That one seemed to have, you were missing a little bit of it on the last one. I didn't feel the heart in it, and in this one I did. It was like you had owned it. So I thought it was that's what made it, I think, the better read.
There's no place like home.
That's right.
Well, anybody else? Did anybody else have anything they'd like to say to JD about that read? Any pieces of input, anything like that? No? Okay, moving right along.
Yay, JD.
So up next is Dan.
You're up.
All righty then. Let's see what I can do here. Cowtown. Flyover country? Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
Okay, what did everybody think? All right, I'll start.
I think it was a little thin, but I think the word is flat.
Yeah, it was flat. It didn't kind of like JD's first couple reads. There just wasn't any heart in it.
Yeah, it felt like it fell off on they don't see what we see. When you hit that last C, it was just like, this is done. Okay, move on.
I'm done.
It was a little too casual.
Flyover country.
That's what it was.
Flyover country was a question, but it didn't sound bad.
I don't know. I thought it stuck out wrong to me. That's just my opinion. Like it
Questioning, like, why would they call this place flyover country?
Well, I mean, that's not necessarily the point of that beginning first lines, though. Like those first three lines are sort of, pointing out what everybody else says about it. It's not necessarily like, why would you question it? That's sort of the point of the latter half of the script. At the beginning, it's more of, either recognizing or mocking what outsiders say about it.
Okay.
So I think, I think turning flyover country into more of a question wasn't quite the best choice. I think you should have kept it as, that's what everybody says, flyover country.
Cool. So now that I've got everything wrong out of the way, I can do a good one?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I did. It's your turn now.
Yeah, Dan, now just do it right.
All part of the plan.
Some folks call this Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coaches to swear allegiance to. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coasts to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
Okay, so open it up. What did everybody think?
Seemed very hesitant on the, I think this curious place with no mountains. It's like
I missed the.
lost your place in the copy.
No, okay.
One thing I noticed that was good, that once again kind of gives more of a natural conversational read, is you sped up in some places, you slowed down in other places, and that's, once again, that's how people talk. People don't talk in the same pace that they read at. You know what I mean? So speed up, slow down. That's real, and I like that. The only other thing I could tell was coast is singular, not plural.
Yeah, that's.
I have one note on the beginning. You went like, Cowtown, flyover country, middle of nowhere. It was the same all 3 times. So it is a list of sorts. Vary it a little more somehow.
And let's go ahead and just make coasts plural. Does that work for everybody?
I prefer singular.
Okay.
You don't want to say the T?
Yeah.
Coast is where allegiance.
No
Oh,
city
yeah.
has 2 coasts. They only have 1 at most.
Unless you're in Key West.
Key West.
Yeah.
It does turn into kind of a
Florida
mouthful.
guy.
Like when you add an S like that, it does start to be a little bit more of a mouthful that you have to kind of get around to
Okay.
get to the next word.
Okay, then singular it shall stay.
Yeah, singular's better.
All right, Dan, give it another go.
Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
Better?
I like that. I like that. It had a lot of really imperfections, just variations that were really interesting.
It almost
That
sounded
last line is still flat. It just came out. They don't say we see.
it sounded self-deprecating. Yeah. Anybody else?
I know why. I hate the Cowtown that I live in. And that's what I keep on going back to for some reason.
It's home.
Yeah. One note that I had on both of your reads, you did on the last line, you went what we see, and I see it as being more what we see.
They don't see what we see.
Now you hit C twice, only once.
Yeah, I did do it twice.
They don't see what we see. If you're going to do it that way, or they don't see what we see. You know, there are technically 2 choices there. It all depends on how you want to approach it, technically. But yeah, you don't want to hit C twice. That just comes off really odd. So give it one more go. This is your last chance.
I'm going to completely flub it up then. All right, you ready? They just don't like our Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see. Dadgummit. They don't see what we see.
Second delivery better on the last line. Definitely.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, opening it up. What did everybody else think?
Totally self-deprecating.
Flyover country was weird.
Well, I mean, you had an interesting pre-life to it. That's for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't want to live in your Cowtown either.
That's what my daughter says. My youngest, when she comes out, it just smells like cow.
You know, it's funny is I love living in the country. I just can't stand where I'm living now. It's just
Anyway, I
Alrighty
thought
then.
that was a pretty good read.
I thought all in all, much more improved, for sure. All right, anybody else have anything they'd like to say to Dan? Nope, moving on. Okay.
I do. I have something I'd like to say to Dan.
Okay, well, you can say it privately to Dan.
Frank's turn.
All right. Frank, go for it. You're up.
My turn. Ugh. Okay. Oh, yeah, we've heard it all around here. Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They just don't see what we see.
Okay, opening it up. What did everybody think?
Are you Canadian, Frank?
Yep.
Okay. That's all I need to know. Answered the question. Why did you say it's hard for outsiders to see what we do?
There you go.
It doesn't make him a bad guy.
I'm damn proud of it.
So he's reading about the prairie of Saskatchewan, and that's where he's going.
Gotta feed the cows something, so they might as well get oats.
Yeah.
So
an actual cow town.
The one thing that really stuck out to me about the read is I think the tone and everything was really good, but when you hit this place, I don't think you should have hit here as well, because it sounded like you were talking about two different places, like it was a flyover of two different towns. That's just kind of what it came off as. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. It almost sounds like it's indicating two different places, which was a little bit odd.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a problem with you saying this place, because that's kind of the point. Like where you live, where this is special, and I liked that. But you hitting here on the other line made it sound like you moved to a completely new area. Threw it off a little bit. I would say one or the other.
Sure. Not a problem.
Anybody else?
Leonard? What are your complaints? You seem to have an abundance of them tonight, so.
Yeah, I try. yeah, I had the same thing about this place special.
Uh-huh.
So, but overall, I liked it overall.
Wow.
Yeah, I noticed you used the plural complaints, like you're waiting for okay, and what's next?
So I think
good job, Frank.
If you just do what you did again, but make sure to either emphasize this play, one or the other, then you'll be right on it.
Okay.
I have one quick one.
Sure.
I was going to mention the accent thing too, but somebody else already did. But the one thing I was going to mention was the sighs. When you do the, you're kind of sighing. I know that can be taken out in the editing process.
Yes.
But I liked how you I liked how you did that, as long as those are removed in post, to kind of set you up for that feel you're going for.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's just like the opening when it's like, oh yeah, well, no, I've heard it all. Like that again is just to lead into it. Like, you probably know about doing that, Mike. So
absolutely.
That's just something that could be posted out, not too and just try and leave a little bit of a pregnant pause in there so they've got some room to take it out. That's all.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay. Well, let's try it again then. Well, yeah, no, we've heard it all around here. Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They just don't see what we see.
I think that beginning that beginning was the beginning that I had in my head that didn't come out of my mouth. So I like the beginning part. Yeah.
Yeah.
I say book it.
Yeah, I really like that.
Nice job.
Bravo. Golf clap all the way around.
Yay.
Yeah, fantastic. Fantastic.
Now, I'm gonna do something right now, and I really, really, really apologize to everybody here in the group, because I don't want to make it look like I'm just okay. I read now, boom. But I just absolutely slammed at the office. It's month end. I just came back from a week's vacation, and I've got so much post-production work to do here and all this stuff. And I got to be up at 4:30 in the morning for my air shift. So, guys, I got to back out. So I apologize for not sticking around.
No worries.
No worries at all.
I'm not trying to be one of those types of people, but you know.
No, you're good. You're good.
You're
Go ahead.
Frank,
Take care of your life.
Everybody, thank you very much for all.
yourself.
It was nice to see
Wait
you.
for shunning us,
Good work.
man.
Go away.
I got to shun you all too. So
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Bye, Joe.
Thank you.
We'll see you two later, guys.
thanks, guys.
Take it easy.
Fellas.
So I think the only critique that I have is that I feel bad for whoever has to follow up Frank.
That was
Evan, good luck.
Yeah, that hard. Evan, you're up.
Why do I always end up after Frank? Does Frank like me or does he hate me? I can't tell which.
Well, I mean, his mic check crush isn't here today, so I mean, he's got to pick on somebody.
It's just all in the way we pick our teams. You know how that works.
All right.
Dodgeball teams are so much fun to pick.
Oh, what do they say about this place? All right. Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coasts to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
Well, I really liked that.
Yeah.
I really did.
That was really fantastic. It was very heartfelt from the beginning.
Yep.
Yeah, it was absolutely, and hit every point. I liked it
Did I-
very much.
I brought a move where you're at, and Frank didn't even get to see it. He'll have to watch later, won't he?
Yeah.
Did I beat Frank? Did I beat Frank?
Yeah, 'cause you did it
Hey,
in one take.
Devin, let me ask you a question real quick. How does it feel to have nailed that in one go?
Whew.
And after following up Frank, nonetheless, you know. No, but
I
in
rose to
general,
the occasion.
but just to, you know, for some serious feedback here, in general, your tone and pace was perfect. It felt like you were really connected to this sort of down home, you know, tight knit community sort of thing. And I'm not too, yeah, you've had experience with places like that before, right?
I've lived in both a couple of large cities and country, and I'm a country girl.
Okay. So yeah, then this is right in your wheelhouse, because it really felt like you did have a personal connection to that kind of place. That's the best way that I could describe it, is it was really personal. And that's fantastic. It didn't sound like you were talking. It didn't sound like you were reading. It sounded like it was coming from the heart. So for the most part, I felt it was absolutely fantastic, and you really did nail it quite well right off the bat. I don't have any particular notes that I'd like to hear differently this time around, and I don't know if anybody else does. I'm going to go ahead and open it up. What did anybody else think?
I'm going to say what he said.
I'm also going to add that she probably has the least enviable task among all of us, due to the fact that basically, I would think probably if she's doing the read, you're trying to market football to women, and that ain't easy. So I thought you did a brilliant job.
That's an
What
excellent
jumped out
point.
at me was
Excellent point,
the sincerity.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very sincere. As if I was sitting down at a table with her and she's telling me why she's been living in Cowtown for 45 years and never left. And I left 38 years ago. That same Cowtown. So she had me convinced.
All right. Well, congrats. Well, up next is going to be Mr. Knowles.
All right. Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
All right, opening it up. What did everybody else think?
Very nice. It was dripping with emotion, empathy, and emotional intelligence. Dripping with empathy. It was very almost like when you're reading a greeting card that touches a special place in your heart. It gave me that kind of feeling when I listened to it.
Wow, thank you.
I thought it was good, but I thought that it might have played more like a kind of like an imaging piece, with you being the imaging voice, than a heartfelt, down home, lifelong citizen type delivery. It almost sounded like I don't know if you're familiar with John Facenda, the voice of NFL Films, but I just felt like you read it as though you were doing a piece for NFL Films.
Yeah, there's no doubt it came from the diaphragm. You could really hear it.
Yeah, I was going to say that it kind of had an intensity to it, like almost I don't want to say movie trailer, but it definitely had an intensity to it. It just kind of gave me that vibe. It wasn't full on movie trailer, but it was a little too intense.
Big.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Even though that last line isn't technically a tagline, it does wrap everything up, and I think you treat it that well. I think some of the other reads, it seems like that's been treated more like a throwaway line. So yeah, good job with that.
Thank you.
Okay, so then if I'm understanding it correctly, the general consensus would be soften it up slightly?
Yes.
Maybe not quite so intense?
Roger that. Okay, we'll go. Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here, this curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
I think I can hear where that intensity is coming in, and it's specifically at that last line.
Yeah, exactly.
I think everything else.
I don't want to break the Dan rule, but this piece is a little personal to me because I live in Alabama. I have gone through bracks where people have come here with the worst images in their heads. And it always gripes me a little bit when people put on a Southern accent and make it sound dumb, because I work in an industry where the people with the hickiest accents work on the most advanced weaponry in the world, integrate them on the most advanced platforms in the world, and who have served this country through every bit of service they do. So it's personal to me.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was a little intense with that, then that's why.
Okay.
Well, it sounded emotional. That's it hit a chord, so to speak, for you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Hey John, are you in Huntsville?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm just down the road from you.
Birmingham,
yes,
right?
Close to Birmingham, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I think the one main thing I could say is slow it down just a little bit. You were a tad quick, just a tad quick. It really wasn't a whole lot. But definitely at the end, because the way that you said it was just came off really seriously. They don't see what we see. They don't see what we see. Like lighten it up just a touch, just a little bit. So it's more of this down, like a really heartfelt, personal. Like they don't see what we see. Like it's beautiful out here, and they don't know.
Okay.
So try to get it more of that feel.
The last line to me comes across a little like they don't get it and they never will. Whereas I'd like it a little better if it came across as they don't get it and they should.
Ah, okay. Nice. Thank you.
All right. Go for it.
Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here, this curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we
I like it.
That was a fantastic end to the whole thing. That was really, really good.
This is home just was like, this is home. That
it really did have that heartfelt feel to it. Again, I felt it was just still a bit too quick. I think that's my only input for you. It's still just a touch too quick.
Roger that. Thank you.
Yeah, but I thought it was great. You went from telling us about how you felt about your place, and that emotion went right over into the script, and it didn't sound like you were reading it, maybe explaining it a little quick because you may have some passion for it. Maybe not all bad. It was maybe a smidge, but overall, I thought it was fantastic.
Yep, me too.
Thank you.
All right. So what does everybody think? One more take, or is he good to move on?
I think he's good.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, I think he's great.
Oh, that was
All
great.
right. Well, John, you hit it.
satisfied.
Congratulations. Let's see. Next up is Russ.
All right. We've heard it all. Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
Okay. Opening it up. What did everybody think?
I think it was a little rushed, but I liked it.
Rushed but good. Okay.
It started out a little flat, and then it got. I thought your last half was much better. There just wasn't, I don't know, much in the first half of it, and it might have been having trouble hearing you. It's your gain's a little low still.
Yeah, it was. That's true. I'm not sure if you said with instead of with.
Yeah, I was trying to listen. I should have
wasn't
turned
trying
it
to
up on
decide whether
mine.
or not, yeah.
How's this? Is that better?
A little.
A little more.
How's this?
There you go. Now we can hear you.
There we go.
Now we can hear you, Russ.
Okay. That's higher than I normally said it. I don't know what's going on.
It's sometimes Zoom does that.
Oh, all right. Let's blame it on Zoom.
And
There you
Rick is
go.
1 year older today.
That's it. You know, I got older yesterday. Speak up.
Yeah. That's what it is. Everybody got older. All right. So slow it down. Pep it up in the beginning. All right. We've heard it all. Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
That was better, Russ. The thing I would say is your list at the beginning fit well with your lead in, but I don't think they stood alone for the intention of the script. If that makes any sense.
Can you explain it a different way?
If the script actually said whatever your lead in was, those would make sense. But if you took that lead in off and then listened to it the way you said it, then I would be a little confused as to what your emotion or your intention was of saying that list.
So you think I tied them together with the top part?
I'm not explaining it well.
No. What your pre-life is what, if you take that away from the recording and then just hear Cowtown, flyover country, and Sunset,
okay.
that's what he's saying.
Yes,
it would leave you with a confusion.
Wow. Okay. I've never had a lead in mess me up. That's weird. But that's cool though.
I don't think it messed you up as much as you said the list like it was in the middle of a sentence, not a sentence unto itself.
Oh, okay. All right. So maybe a more downward on Cowtown, something like that.
Yeah.
All right. One more time. We've heard it all. Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
Better, yeah.
All right, cool. Nobody else,
I like
nothing?
that a lot
Leonard? Leonard?
Leonard.
I'm the designated critic, I guess. I don't have anything specific to point to there, so I guess it's all right.
Cool. Pass the Leonard test. All right.
Yeah, it was great. It was all right.
That's good enough for me. David. David.
Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere, but for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coasts to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
David, I believe you're really hard on the opening. Really hard on the word cow.
Slow it down. I'll tone it down.
Soften it up just a little bit.
Your last sentence sounded like you were going to say something else.
They don't see what we see. Okay.
Yeah, there was no, it was like, and what else?
Yeah, when like they don't see what we see, you hit the don't really hard.
All right, I'll soften that up.
You sound like a city boy.
Yeah, I know. This doesn't go over well with a New York accent, but what can you do?
That's what I was going to say that too. Like, how are you at trying to drop that accent? Because I mean, a lot of these jobs that get,
I'm taking lessons right now.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
And David, get closer to the microphone and soften your voice.
Okay, here we go.
You're talking to us. Okay.
Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere, but for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coasts to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
Yeah, much better.
That was a lot better. Yeah.
That was a lot better.
Yeah.
A little
You
slow.
did hit this place though. This.
Yes.
Where they said don't hit this before
Okay.
place.
All right. Slow it down. Slow down a little bit more.
Yeah.
And that's probably the softest, most consistent slowed down read I've heard you do so far. That was really good. I really liked it. But yeah, I'm with Devin. You hit this.
Okay.
Actually, this twice. Wherever.
Yeah, I accentuated that too much. Okay.
Around. Yeah.
Curious place.
Yeah, you need to give curious some life.
Okay, you got it.
That was good direction, and it's working for everybody. So I don't.
Okay.
You should do
Good
it.
job, everybody. Good job, Devin.
Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere, but for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coasts to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
Yeah, you're speeding up at the end.
Okay.
And the way you hit curious, it just wasn't right.
Right.
I'll hit that one line right. I'll try it again.
Yeah, and say it like you're curious.
A little quieter, Dave.
Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere, but for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coasts to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
This is so battered and bruised right now.
Yeah. What makes this place special? This curious place.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting.
So what I heard is this place special, not necessarily a bad choice. I think that was approached with one of the previous reads. It was Frank's. This place special, not too bad of a choice. The one issue I'm seeing is that curious is really throwing you off. And I think you've been getting a lot of direction on how to do that line. Just put it all together. This curious place. Just just say it. Like don't try to give it anything special for right now. Just start from it's hard for outsiders and just go to the end.
Yeah, one note also for me on the very last line. I'd like you to hit one of the C's. Doesn't terribly matter which one, but hit one of them.
Actually, it does. I think if you hit the second one, it would sound really awkward. I think the first one, if you're going to hit C.
Yeah, that would be my preference.
And that's what's making it sound like you're still got more to say and you just stopped. I think that would help us. They don't see what we see.
And
There.
David, back away from the mic just a little bit.
Okay. How's that sound better?
Yes. Yes. So it's hard for outsiders to the end. Go for it.
It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
Slow down. That was much better. It was a little quick.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But that was right where you needed to be.
All right. By the time you hit they don't see what we see.
They don't see what we see.
So it's
there you go. That's good. Again, just slow it down a little bit more, and you'll be right where you need to be. That would be absolutely perfect.
From the top,
I think the quieter you make the quieter you make the reads, the better they come out for me, at least.
Okay. So from the top.
Larry says you should feel like you're dragging your feet through mud.
Okay. I'll think about that when I'm reading.
All right.
Go for it. From the top.
Cowtown. Flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere, but for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
Yeah, big improvement.
Good job, bud.
Yeah,
good job.
Big improvement.
Yeah, really, really good. Really good. Really solid.
Speeding up at the end though.
Yeah, it's like
I sped up. Yep.
The farther into this script you go, the quicker you start moving.
Yeah, it's like you want to get it over with or something. When you get close to the end, you're like, here I go. This is it. The last part. Do it fast.
I'm almost done. Yay.
Okay.
That's what it feels like.
Should I give it one more go or let it roll?
If you can do it slow at the end.
Give us just the last line.
I think in the interest of time, we need to let it roll.
All right. No.
Yeah, it's moving on pretty quick here.
Michael.
Yes, it would be me next, I suppose.
Yes.
All right. Just close the door. Cowtown, flyover country, some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
Pretty good. Flyover country was definitely upspeak at the end.
Yeah, I was just saying Cowtown flyover country. I thought we were going to keep going up.
Yeah.
I was trying to fly over.
Did it.
Accomplished.
I kind of liked how you did not pause as long as everybody else did on the they don't see what we see. You kind of, but it sounded good. It wasn't that longer kind of pause, that contemplative pause. You just kind of went through it, but it still sounded good.
Yep, micropause.
Yeah, micropause. Yeah.
Okay, so don't upspeak on flyover country. Is that really the main thing? Anything else that anybody noticed?
No, sound good to me.
All right, let me try it one more time, and I'm going to try to not upspeak flyover country. Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
Book them, Dano.
Good. Yeah, fantastic.
Next.
All right, moving right along. Who did I choose? I don't even remember.
Yep, that would be me.
All right, go.
You know, Some call this place Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us would choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to, they don't see what we see.
Again, you did the dual place thing. You said what makes this place special? Why choose to put roots down here? But you hit both of those really hard.
Okay.
You going for that regional read there, Nathan?
Yeah.
I think you need to alter your pre-life just a little bit. Because
Yeah,
that
right.
first
Space
sentence
there.
didn't work for me when I, listened to it afterwards. That first sentence didn't work.
All
I
right.
thought the
Gross
accent
couch.
sounded a little fake.
Well,
Yeah, I borrowed from 2 different regions at once.
Just a bit heavy is all.
Yeah, that little cross the border between between East Tennessee and Eastern Kentucky. Which I mean, I live with Eastern Kentucky because that's where my wife's from, and I hear her accent every day. So
Just soften it a little bit, and
Okay.
here we go.
You know, some call this place Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to, they don't see what we see.
You hit,
Much better that time around.
Yep, much better.
you hit both C's.
Thank you.
they don't see what we see. Yeah, I liked it. Actually, I like the way it sounded.
But
It was different,
Yeah.
but I thought it worked with what
I used a little piece of Elaine Clark direction to button it up at the end by doing the point. And thank you, Elaine Clark. I
like
really
your
appreciate
interpretation. I
that
like
teaching.
Alrighty then. Well, why don't we, in the interest of time, go ahead and move on?
Okay.
John Stafford, you're up.
Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
I think your voice was made for this.
All right.
I think just that tone that you have.
It really fits this piece of copy.
It really does. It really does.
It just was missing some emotion.
All right, send the check to
Shane. Go ahead. What were we going to say?
I was going to say that the first got the flyover country, the first part, he made it sound like that was how other people referred to the in a derogatory sense. That's what I.
Yeah, I tried to put just a little chuckle in there to kind of.
Really nice touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all in all, that was really, really good. The only thing that really stuck out to me was you upspoke at the end of beaches or coast to swear allegiance to. So it sounded like you were going to continue the idea. I would like to hear that idea end.
Okay.
You know, beaches or sorry, go ahead.
I'd like a little bit on curious, if you can.
All right.
Give us one more read. Go for it.
Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere, but for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yep, I felt it that time. Nice.
Yep. Absolutely.
It's cool how you gave curious just a little bit. That was, that's a talent.
Thank you.
Well, John's a talented guy.
I followed all you talented people. All right, one more
Diane
time.
girl,
This one, Noon
put it on
hits
here.
in. Now that's if you're happy with it, I'm happy. Let's.
Oh yeah, you
wrap
did
it up.
great. Let's go ahead and move on, shall we? Leonard, you are
Okay.
go.
Cowtown. Flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
A little quick.
Okay.
I would
Anybody
warm
else?
it up a little too. Warm it up a little.
And it didn't have the heartfelt, I really love where we're living feel to it. And it might have been just because you were going too quick as well. It's hard to be heartfelt and zip through stuff.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I think you're in the front, the upper front of the mask. So you're in the higher end of your register. Bring it down, make it warmer. That'll draw us in.
Go for it.
Okay. Cowtown. Flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see. Was that still fast?
Not as fast. It felt a little bit more personal that time around, though. You definitely managed to connect it to connect yourself to the script a bit better this time.
But it was just a little rushed again. But yeah,
a hair quick,
Yeah,
but again, the
I realized
emotion,
that when I was most of the way through it.
it was a hair quick, but the emotion and intention, I feel, were still communicated really well.
Yep.
Okay. You want one more?
Yeah, give us one more.
Cowtown. Flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
That was it.
Yeah.
Last take was it.
That was a very nice one all the way through. Excellent.
All right.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Rob, you're up.
Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coasts to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
And that's the benefit of going towards the end. Wow, that was really fantastic right off the bat. No,
Nice.
I loved the feel of the character that you embodied throughout that whole thing. It was definitely like, yeah, it felt like an interview, like right off the street. I really felt like this was super personal to you. Do you live in sort of a smaller town, or have you had experience in smaller towns like that?
No. I only once, but it was like briefly for like a month or two.
Okay. Well, still, it felt like you were really connected to that script. I don't know what it was, but it was fantastic. What did everybody else think?
He's
I
got
thought
a
it was
really
great.
good,
Yeah,
youthful
really, really good.
I think
his
of
tone
the,
is young and youthful, and that made it feel like he was there. I mean, this is his town, and here's maybe not a kid, but a younger person, just sharing with us his experience. That's what I liked about it.
Mm-hmm.
It worked
I
for me
think,
very well.
This is what the critics say, and screw the critics.
That's it.
I thought it, and I liked it overall. I thought maybe it was just a touch fast. Wonder what others think.
If you really want to get technical about it, sure. But with the tone of his voice sounding a little bit younger, I think that sort of works for the feel. Yeah. Like it really does feel like maybe, again, it felt like a street side interview. Just pull somebody aside and, it really felt, I don't know. I personally thought it was right on the money.
I think his tone of voice, him having that millennial sound.
Yeah.
The speed at which he read that was a millennial sound, and it paired with his voice perfectly.
Yep. I didn't have a problem with it.
Imagine Imagine what? Not that. Don't imagine that. Imagine.
But you got hairballs. What?
Imagine a young high school football player walking off the field after a game, talking to the camera as they walk along together, and he nailed it.
Yeah, something like that. Whatever it was, you really connected with the script and brought it to life quite well. That was a fantastic read.
It really was.
Bravissimo.
Nice job.
Bravissimo.
All right, moving right along. Tim, you're up.
No Guys, pressure. Real quick, I got to jump off. So,
all right. Hey, thank you for joining, Mike.
Yeah,
we'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Mike.
Take care, Mike.
Bye.
All right. Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here, this curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
All right, opening it up. What did everybody think?
Had kind of a different attitude to it. It wasn't the hometown feel. It was more of a quiet, in your face. Seemed to me.
Yeah, I think something that was just, I don't know,
a little more experienced. They don't see what we see. That was kind of
that actually. I was going to point out that last line. It felt kind of mocking.
Okay.
A little bit.
Okay.
It felt almost like you need another sentence after that to explain what it is they don't see or something.
Okay.
Again, the intention is they don't see what we see, and that's kind of a shame.
Okay.
And that's just too bad.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Yes.
But for us, this is home. This felt a little hard hit there.
Oh, this
I don't
is
know.
Too hard? Okay, got it. All right. We do one more time? I guess I will. Just left.
Yep. Knock us out.
Okay. Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here, this curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
Okay, what did everybody think?
One thing I keep hearing is a theme. When that change in the script comes from, this is home. The emphasis on home in a lot of the reads has been almost like a pleading sort of a sound, like almost apologetically. This is home, guys. Instead of having that pride and confidence, like, hey, this is home to us. So I don't know. Personally, I'd like to hear it read like that.
Okay. All right. One more time. Sorry, guys. Here we go. Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here, this curious place, with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
Yeah, they really changed the whole feel in the middle of the read there.
Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else have any other input for him?
After
I thought that was the best one yet.
Yeah.
After Coast, that
I like his
pause
warmth.
is awkward to me.
What, Russ?
The pause after Coast.
Hmm.
It just sounds awkward to me. And then this time he actually to swear allegiance to. It was some kind of like you went up in a higher register and
Okay.
became unbelievable on that line.
All right. Well, we have enough time to do it one more time, Mike, or no?
Well, we're already over time, so if everybody's cool with sticking around for a little bit longer, go for it.
I'll just do the last. I'll do the line from Or Why. How about that?
That makes sense. Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. Or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
And that was really well delivered.
Yep.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thanks,
Yeah,
Russ.
even though you left in the pause.
I like the warmth. Hey, I like the pause.
Yeah, I was slowing that down because I usually read too fast.
I got enough to make it work. It'll be fine.
I can't talk,
Slice it
Jim.
in.
Okay, Shane's up.
All right. Cowtown. Excuse me. Cowtown. Flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere, but for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
See, personally, I would have liked that a whole lot more if you were closer to the microphone and a little quieter. I think in general, your tone and delivery was good, but if you had just brought that closer and more intimate,
okay,
that would have been perfect.
Yeah, it's a different tone, but it's working.
Yeah, I'm actually on an iPhone, so Mike is. But I'll try. I'll give it a shot.
Why not?
All right. Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere, but for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coasts to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
I felt all in all, yeah, that was pretty good. What did everybody else think?
Didn't
Opening
you
it up.
flub a line?
I did.
Didn't you flub a line? Oh, just go back into at the beginning. Just back it up to the beginning of the sentence when that happens. It's all right.
Yeah.
I like the way that sounded overall.
Yeah.
I did. It had a genuineness to it that I liked.
Yeah. It still could have been a little closer to the mic though. But it could be the iPhone. They suck. I'm not.
Well, yeah, that's why you get too close on an iPhone mic, and it really sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think for the limitations that you have, though, you delivered a really, really good read. Like that was just an all around really solid read. So let's not force you to fight the iPhone and let's go ahead and move on, shall we?
I know Phillips had lots of practice.
Yeah, Phillips had lots of practice and lots of time to hear some feedback.
All right.
So we're expecting absolute perfection, Phil.
All right. You can do it.
He's been marking the daylights out of his copy.
Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
All right, opening it up. What did everybody think? Okay, I'll go.
Okay.
I think you hit the second C at the end there, and that came off a little bit odd.
Okay.
You hit both C's, and not really. You did hit we though, and that's good. They don't see what we see.
Okay.
And I think that's the intention behind that. The rest of it though, you had a really good pace, which I really liked. Like that, you made sure that we saw what you were talking about, and that was that I felt was a really good choice. Does anybody else have anything else they'd like to say?
I think we should go with what Shane said and put more pride in the word home, because it does sound better than pleading or whatever it's coming off as the rest of us read it.
That's what I was saying, only I was muted. Yeah, you heard me. Good job, Russ.
Okay, so pride in the word home.
Yes, all right.
Make sure to play off of the second C.
All right.
Other than that, go for it.
Cowtown, flyover country. Some say the middle of nowhere. But for us, this is home. It's hard for outsiders to see what makes this place special, or why some of us choose to put down roots here. This curious place with no mountains, beaches, or coast to swear allegiance to. They don't see what we see.
That was fantastic.
Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, it was very good.
It felt like, actually, after putting in, that little bit extra pride in home, this is home. Like that same pride, that same feeling of pride sort of carried its way through the rest of it.
Yeah.
And came out particularly well at the end. And that was really good. Pretty fantastic.
All right. Thanks for the direction.
Well, Phil again has a youthful read, a useful sound, which again I think works better for this copy.
Yeah.
All right.
Us old guys.
The old guys over here, the old sound.
Right.
We stand together.
The only thing I heard is he missed the word of almost. It sounded more like some of us.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again,
conversationally,
it was sort of one of those conversational flub ups that would totally work. I don't know. Personally, I didn't think it was too much of an issue. I kind of liked it, but that's just me.
Sloppy it up.
Bother me.
Well, if you bother Leonard, then I
though,
think
you're always such the eloquent one, quite the pronouncer.
So if it went through Leonard, you're okay.
Alrighty then. I think that's a good place to end off, actually. Once again, just to let everybody know, next week we are going to be having Danielle Quisenberry on with us, and everybody who was here this week is eligible to be drawn for one of the 6 spots that we have to work with her. So be looking out for that. Otherwise, gonna hand it on over to Nathan.
Yes, you don't want to miss next week. You want to be here. Even if you're just auditing this thing, be here. It's going to be great. And also, keep on sponsoring us down here on Patreon, patreon.com right there, lower third. Just follow that link and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit that button, hit the little bell, see what we got coming up. Join us on Facebook and Twitter. We're all over the place. But we're all over the place in a good way, and you don't want to miss any of it. So we will see you guys next week.
All right, good night.
Join us every Monday for free script practice. You can also find the Mic Check on Facebook and Twitter. If you liked what you saw, then subscribe for more.